What's going on, guys? It is your boy Parag. Day 23. Honestly, didn't get a lot of sleep today. I don't know why, but I woke up at 7. Uh, I went to bed at like 1 though, so like 6 hours of sleep. I might nap again today, but let's get on with the video. Hey, you bro went on a walk, something like for me, 45 minutes. I ain't gonna lie. I don't know. I feel like going on a walk these is like I feel like after even after I end this challenge, we're going to Japan. When I come back, I think I'm gonna still do the 45-minute walk in the morning because it low-key just like wakes me up kind of. But anyways, if you want to skip to the workout, we are doing legs today. Finally, after a long time, it's crazy because yesterday I played ball, and obviously basketball it requires legs, unless you're playing handicap, but. This morning I woke up, my legs aren't that sore. My glutes are kind of sore though. Paul, you know what happened though? Oh my god, bruh. Yesterday, I was driving in the paint. I did a spin move, but then the kid or like the young teen that was guarding me, I felt no like okay, hold on. I did a spin move, but I did it too fast. And I started to like fall because of I did it too fast. I lost balance, and the kid behind me who was guarding me, he fell too, and his knee like when he fell down, his knee, it was like this, like it was like pointed up, right? Keep in mind, he's a skinny teen, he's bony as hell, bro. His knees like this, bro. I felt like my booty hole when it hit right there on his knee, bro. I was walking around like these. I was like, oh shit, bro. My booty hole hurt, and right now it's still sore. Pause. Shit hurt. Anyways, on to the breakfast. Literally same exact thing, guys. Oatmeal, protein powder, some coffee beans, peanut butter, milk, blueberries, and on the side we got kiwi, apple, and avocado. Something light. Let's get on to the reading. We always do one question of the day. Yesterday we answered, are you the best version of yourself? We answered no. Well, I answered no. And what does the best version of yourself look like? I would say a caring individual, someone who is financially smart and wealthy, someone who is able to take care of his loved ones around them, someone who doesn't get angry really fast, like they have self-control, they don't flip. Cause I'm not gonna lie, even for me, like, I read this book, I read other books about like Zen mind. It's all about being calm and being in the moment, just like, blah, blah, blah. But there's times I definitely crash out, like especially working my job, instant crash out. But there's that. I think the biggest version of myself would probably be someone that I can like. The best version of myself would be another aspect would be like being able to talk to people, not being scared to talk to other people, and overall being able to inspire others to do what they want to do in life. Because me personally, my life isn't the greatest right now. Yes, I'm grateful that I have all this stuff in my room. There's a roof over my head, but I want to be able to also inspire people that, my life may not be the greatest. Yours might be worse, but if you keep going through, there is light end of the tunnel. But hey, comment down below your best version of yourself looks like. I'm pretty interested. Yesterday, with the end of love, we were talking about choice, talking about political, and I don't know what the hell we're talking about. But hey, let's get on to reading, shall we? Negative choice. Negative choice. Negative choice. Okay, sorry. Sociologists of modernity have viewed the period ranging from the 16th to the 20th centuries as one that saw the generalization to all social groups of the cultivation of new forms of relationships, the love, marriage, and the disinterest friendship, the compassionate relationship to the stranger, and national solidarity, to name a few. All of these all of these can be said to be a novel social relations and novel institutions and novel emotions all in one. And they are resting on choice. Early emotional modernity has thus a modernity in which freedom was institutionalized and individuals experienced their freedom in the refinement of the practice of choice, experienced through emotions, bonds of friendship, romantic love, marriage, or divorce, were self-contained, bound social forms containing clear emotions and names for these emotions. Studied by sociology as definable and relatively stable, all these hard ass words, bro, for what? Stable, empirical, and phenomenal relationships. In contrast, our contemporary hyperconnective. Is there really a need to use What does that even mean? Sorry, bro. It's just like half the time I'm reading these words, it's like I don't get what, like, I've never heard of these words before. Hyperconnective modernity seems to be marked by the formation of quasi-proxy. What is quasi? No. We're googling this. Quasi-proxy. Is that like a league term? What does that even mean? There's no definition on Google. It's just like a clothing brand. What? Anyways. Or negative bonds. The one night stand, the zipless FUCK, the hookup, the fling, the FUCK buddy, the friends with benefits, casual sex, casual dating, cyber sex are only some of the names of relationships defined as short-lived, with no or little involvement of the self, often devoid of emotions, containing a form of autolect hedoism. With the sexual act as its main and only goal, it only networked modernity, the non-formation of bonds becoming a sociological phenomenon in itself, a social and epistemic category in its own right. If early and high modernity were marked by the struggle for certain forms of sociability, where love, friendship, sexuality would be free of moral and social strictures, in networked modernity, emotionally experience seems to invade the names of emotions and relations inherited from eras where relationships were more stable. Contemporary relationships end, break, fade, evaporate, and follow a dynamic of positive and negative choice, which intertwine bonds and non-bonds. It is this dynamic I want to... Bro, what is this? What even say? What does that mean, chat? Chat. What does that even mean? I want to elucidate in this book, thereby continuing my previous preoccupation with the interaction between love, choice, and the culture of capitalism. Why are we talking about capitalism, bro? Okay, whatever. But while in my previous study, I shed light on the changes in the very notion and structure of choice of a mate. Here I focus on another and a new category of choice, the choice to unchoose, a form of choice that comes after various struggles for freedom we saw during the last 200 years. If during the formation of modernity, actors fought for their right to have a sexuality unhindered by community or social constraints, in contemporary modernity, they take for granted that sexuality is a choice and a right, unquestioned and unquestionable. One's freedom is incestuously exercised by the right to not engage or disengage from relations, a process that we may call choice to unchoose, to opt out of a relationship at any time. Although I am not suggesting a straightforward direct casualty, the analogy between the history of capitalism and that of romantic forms is striking. In its modern period, capitalism took such economic forms as the... Guys, I'm not gonna lie, I'm having a hard time reading this book because I like it when they're talking about emotions and love and blah, 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 but when they tie it in with capitalism, I don't care. I don't give two shits. Anyways, whatever. I gotta keep reading. Okay, in its modern period, capitalism took an economic form as the corporation, the limited liability, the international financial markets, and the commercial contract. In these economic forms, hierarchy, control, and contract are central. These were reflected in the view of love as contractual relationships, freely entered, bound by ethical rules of commitment, yielding obvious returns and demanding long-term emotional strategies and investment. Insurance companies were crucial institutions to minimize risk, acting as a third parties between two contractors, thus increasing the reliability of the commercial contract. This social organization of capitalism evolved and morphed into a ramified global network, which scattered ownership and control. It now practices new forms of non commitment through flex time or outsourcing labor, providing little social safety nets and breaking bonds of loyalty between workers and workplaces in legislation and practices that decrease dramatically corporations' commitment to workers. Contemporary capitalism has also developed instruments to exploit uncertainty. For example, derivatives. Derivatives? I haven't heard that math term since like grade 12, bro. It's been like 5 years, 4 years. Okay, anyways. And even makes the value of certain goods uncertain, creating spot markets, offering prices that are increasingly adjust to demand, thus simultaneously creating and exploiting uncertainty. Practices of non-commitment and non-choice enable a corporation's quick withdrawal from a transaction and the quick realignment of prices. Practices that enable corporations to quickly form and break loyalties, and the swift renewal and changing of lines of production and the unhindered firing of the workforce. All of these are practices of non-choice. Choice, which was the early motto of solid capitalism, then has morphed into non-choice, the practice of perpetual adjusting one's preferences on the go, not to engage in, pursue, or commit to relationships in general, whether economic or romantic. These practices of non-choice are somehow combined with the intensive calculative strategies of risk assessment. Traditionally, sociology symbolic interactism. Guys, are we being for real? In particular, has almost axiomatically focused on the microformation of social bonds and has by definition been unable to grasp the exclusive mechanism of how relationships end, collapse, evaporate, or fade. In network modernity, the proper object of study becomes the way in which bonds dissolve, where this dilution is taken to be a social form. This dissolution of relationships occurs not through a direct breakdown of relationships, alienation, refrication. Bro, what are these words? Instrumentalization, exploitation. Bro, they're just rapping at this point, bro. Like, what's going on? But through the moral injunctions that constitute the imaginary core of capitalists, subjectively, such as the injunction of to be free and autonomous, to change, optimize the self, and realize one's hidden potential, to maximize pleasure, health, and productivity. It is the positive injunction to both produce and maximize the self that shapes the negative choice. I will show you that the choice to unchoose is now a crucial modality of subjectivity, made possible by a variety of institutional changes. The no-fault divorce, the contraceptive pill, which made it easier to have sexual relationships without the institutional stakes of marriage and thus without emotional commitment. The consumer market of leisure, which provides a large number of venues to meet and an ongoing supply of sexual partners. The technology afforded by the internet, especially by dating sites such as Tinder or Match.com. Match.com? That's actually a site? Hold up, I need to do some research. Sorry. Which turned the subject into a consumer of sex and emotions, entitled to the right to use or dispose of the community at will. And finally, the worldwide success of platforms like Facebook, which both multiply relationships and which enable the quick unfriending as a technical feature of a software. These and many other less visible cultural features documented in this book make the choice to unchoose in a dominant modality of subjectivity in networked modernity and societies characterized by advanced process of commodification, the multiplication of sexual choice, and the penetration of economic rationality to all domains of society. The question of how and why actors will break, disengage from, ignore, or neglect their relationship is all the more interesting because there's a powerful empirical evidence that actors is general are loss averse, meaning they will go through great efforts not to lose something they already have or have. In fact, as chapters 2 and 3 show, in hyperconnectivity, politics actors easily and regularly overcome loss aversion through the convergence of market, technology, and consumer forces. Negative choice is as powerful and present in the lives of people in hyperconnectivity. Modernity, as was the positive choice to form bonds and relations with others in the formation of modernity. The social effects of negative choices are apparent in many significant ways. One is the fact that many countries cannot maintain their population in terms of their birth rates. Young Japanese, for example, have tremendous difficulties in pairing up, with the result that the fertility rate has plunged. The number of children a Japan woman can expect to have in her lifetime is 1.42. They're getting half a child? What do you mean 1.2? Okay, anyways. Down from 2.13 in 1970. Negative population growth rates are observed in Eastern and much of the Western Europe as well. And they are threatening not only demographically, but economically as well. Excuse me. The shrinkage of the population has powerful rippling political and economical effects. From immigration flows to the difficulty of guaranteeing pension funds or supporting aging populations, if the expansion of capitalism was predicted on population growth and on the family and on the family as a structure mediating between company and society, that connection is increasing being undone by the new forms of capitalism itself. Capitalism is a formidable machine to produce goods, but no longer capable of ensuring the next page, guys. Hold up. Social need for reproduction. What philosopher Nancy Fraser has called capitalism crisis of care. Negative relations are apparent in the conscious decision or non-conscious practices by many men and women not to enter stable bonds or have children, and in fact that single households have considerably increased in the last 2 decades. A second way in which a negative choice is made apparent is by the development of divorce rates. In the United States, for example, the rate more than doubled between 1960 and 1980. In 2014, it was more than 45% for people who married in the 1970s or 1980s, making divorce a likely occurrence in a large portion of the population. Third, more people live in multiple relationships, putting into question the centrality of monogamy and attending values as loyalty and love. Let's just stop here. Yo, I'm not gonna lie. I don't understand, like, not to hate you guys or like anyone that's like this, but I don't understand the point of like dating someone, but like you're like, what is it called here? Polyamorous, like a harem type thing. Like, kind of. I never understand people that want to date other people, but be open to, like, while they're dating, have the option and be open to talk to other people at the same time. How does that make any sense? Like, what is going on in your head? Like, that's like, if you're dating someone, it's a one thing. It's like, and if you're gonna talk to other people, man, then leave her or him and just go do that. Like, I don't know, bro. I don't know. But the thing is, the thing that baffles my mind is that there's really couples like that. There's really couples in the world that they date each other, but they have fun with other people and they're okay with that. Bro, some people just, I don't know how they even develop that kind of mindset, bro. They need some assistance. I ain't gonna lie. All right. Let me see here. Okay. An increasing number of people leave and enter and leave a larger number of relationships in a fluid way throughout their lives. A fourth, seemingly opposite manifestation of non-choice is sologamy, the puzzling phenomenon of women who choose to marry themselves. Oh, it says mostly, damn. I've heard that actually before, like a girl that like marries herself because, like, you know. Finally, negative choice is somehow implicated in what a commentator has called the loneliness epidemic. An estimated 42.6 million Americans over the age of 45 suffer from chronic loneliness, damn, which significantly raises the risk for premature death. According to the study by AARP, American Association of Retired Persons, one researcher called the loneliness epidemic a greater health threat than obesity. The loneliness epidemic has another form, as Jean Tween has suggested members of the generation have fewer sex partners than members of two preceding generations, making the lack of sexuality a new social phenomenon. Explained, I would argue, but the cultural shift to negative choice to quick withdrawal from relations or to the fact that relationships themselves never got formed. In the realm of intimate relationships, choice is exerted in a context that is very different from one of the Perebezkov. It's a name in Russian, in which choice often took place between two clear alternative paths. Understand the mass influence of new technology platforms. Freedom creates now such a large number of possibilities that the emotional and cognitive conditions for romance choice have been radically transformed. Hence the question addressed here. What are the cultural and emotional mechanisms, voluntary and involuntary, that make people revise, undo, reject, and avoid relationships? What is the emotional dynamic by which a preference changes, although many or most live in some satisfactory form of couplehood? This book is about the horrendous past of many to reach the point, as well as the fact that many, by choice or non-choice, do not live in a stable relationship. This book is not an indicament of the ideal couplehood or a plea to return to the most secure ways of forming, but rather a description of the ways in which capitalism has hijacked sexual freedom and is implicit in the reasons why sexual and romantic relationships have become puzzlingly volatile. Much of sociology has been about the study of the regular routine structures of daily life and has developed to the effect an impressive array of methods. But the contemporary era commands perhaps another way of sociology, which I would tentatively call the study of crisis and uncertainty. The orderliness and predictability of modern institutions have been disruptive for large swaths of the population. Routine and bureaucratic structures coexist with the persuasive and a nagging sense of uncertainty and insecurity. If we can no longer count on lifelong employment, on the returns of increasingly volatile markets, on the stability of marriage or the geographical stability, then many traditional sociological concepts have served their time. Served their time. It is a high time that we listen to the practitioners of new culture of unloving, and therefore I conducted interviews with 92 people in France, England, Germany, Israel, and the United States from the age of 19 to the age of 72. Their stories form the empirical backbone of the book, and they all bear the traces of what Lauren Borant calls the crisis of ordinariness. That is the low-key ways in which actors located in different cultural contexts and socio-economic positions struggle with the minute dramas of precautiousness and uncertainty. With the properties of what I call negative relationships obviously take different forms in different social classes and different national frameworks, but they contain a few recurring elements. They intact economic and technology features. They do not gel in a stable form, but they are valued as impermeable and transitory, and they are practiced even when they entail loss and pain. Whether two process produce pleasure or pain, they constitute, as well as we see, unloving, whereby the prefix un expresses both the willful undoing of something established and the inability to achieve something. One form of unloving unnecessary precedes loving, and another allows it. Both cases enable us to understand the conditions of emotions and relationships in the era of radical personal freedom. It is in this book I decipher in this book. Okay, that's the last page for today. Sorry, I was blocking the camera. I know that. God, that's the book for today. That's the reading for today. Honestly, it got kind of interesting near the end, I would say, because like near the end, they're talking about how capitalism relates to like relationships, and I don't know how I feel about that, but the things I did learn that was kind of sad, and like my take on it is when they did a research saying how like the lonely epidemic is more dangerous or more like, blah, 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 than obesity. And I feel like that just goes to show that, like, I feel like mental health is, like, really important. I feel like there's not enough light shown on mental health, but that's just my 2 cents. Hey, that's really important today. Let's get on to the workout, leg day. Okay, for the workout, some light, doing some squats, making sure it's all deep for really. But my glutes were so in pain, and the thing was, I supersetted this with glute bridges, and like, bro, I was going through it, bro. My glutes were in. Not only was my booty hole in pain, but my glutes were in pain. And after this, we did some calf raises, making sure. Ooh, look at the striations, making sure that it's heavyweight, slow and controlled. For the most part, it was slow and controlled. I'm not gonna lie. Here and there, I kind of went fast. Doing some tib raises. This is really important when jumping and landing, guys. Like, do it if you can. It's really important. And finally, we ended off by just doing some over the hips. I don't know what you even call this workout, but I saw it on TikTok, and it's good for your hips. So I'm doing this because my lower back and my quads and my knees are not that good. I've always wanted to dunk, but like, knee pain. But yeah, that's the workout for today. Jeez, and I'm looking clean. Not too shabby, not too shabby. I'm looking pretty good. You know what I'm saying? I am eating less, so hopefully by the time it's Japan, I see a slight difference. But anyways, for the lunch, boom, we got half a bread of sour bread, some fish curry, and some like cabbage stuff that my mom made. Shout out to my mom. And then for dinner, we have the other half of the sourdough bread, some beef chili, oh my god, and some kiwi, and one kiwi. Overall, a W meal, W day. Hey, thank you guys for watching day 23. I'll see you guys tomorrow for day 24. I do be posting on the other channel, Prod the Frog, so peep there as well. Thank you guys for watching the video. Peace.